Hey yo everyone. So I have found this article while I was scrolling. It's about airships coming back. So why don't we uh watch the show watch history about them? Because this airship, what's called the A-16, what looks like a UFO, suspicious, but whatever. What can lift 600 tons, and it's gonna be used for cargo. And it's made in Russia. And it's made from Russia. And it's gonna be launched in 2024. Well, it's probably, what year is this? Alright, 2025, so it's already up in the air. Okay, anyways. Let's go to... Why do I always get the weird stuff? Okay.
Other countries had already...
Okay, let's run it back. Let's check it out.
The Hindenburg is the famous airship that met its fiery death in the year 1937. Surprisingly, more than half of the people on board actually survived the crash. In this video, I want to take you on a detailed tour of the inside of the Hindenburg. We'll talk about airships in general and why they are mostly a thing of the past.
Well, unfortunately, 7-year-old video.
The earliest airship that we know of was in the year 1783 in France. These primitive balloons were unstable and steering was near impossible.
We're watching this channel. If you want to check it out, you can check it out.
The earliest airship that we know of was in the year 1783 in France. These primitive balloons were unstable and steering was near impossible at first. A man by the name of Count Zeppelin created his own company and helped perfect...
Whoa there, buddy. No. This doesn't look like how it looks like, right? It looks like a cigar-shaped UFO, doesn't it? But I could be wrong. But I'm just gonna point it at that. Look at it. It's a flippin' sausage. It's a flippin' sausage. Okay. Doesn't it look like a cigar-shaped UFO? Okay. Anyways, let's continue. Could be wrong.
The design of airships. At the time, passenger air travel was not commonplace yet, so this was the fastest way to travel across the ocean. It was about twice as fast as an ocean liner. Construction of the Hindenburg was completed in 1936. To this day, it's still the largest flying object ever to be built.
Okay.
It was built in Germany and funded by the Nazis, which is why the swastika is on the tail.
What do you know about that, huh?
Most of the space inside the ship is taken up by 16 large gas cells. If we remove these, you can see the frame of the ship.
Interesting.
The passenger areas are down here. There are 2 decks. The top one is the A deck, and then below is the B deck. The B deck is where the passengers board the airship.
Look at that.
There's angled windows to get a panoramic view of the scene below, bathrooms, areas for the crew, the kitchen, and the officer's mess. This room is the smoking room. It was pressurized so that there was no chance of any hydrogen leaking in. And yes, hydrogen is flammable. We'll talk more about this gas later in the video. The stairs here take us up to the A deck, which is...
I probably have seen these airships in movies, shows, and kids shows. Have you noticed that? They are everywhere in the movies and kids shows. I could be wrong as well, but why is there airships at the background? Like VO, SpongeBob, and those others. So what the hell is going on? Why are they showing airships again in shows as well, and movies? Well, I could be wrong as well. No, let's just continue.
where the passengers spent most of their time. There are more windows on both sides of the ship. Here's the reading and writing room, and the lounge area complete with a grand piano. Normally, grand pianos can weigh as much as 1,000 pounds, but that's a lot of weight to put in an airship. This piano is made out of aluminum, and it only weighs about 356 pounds. The passenger cabins have 2 bunks each, and the dining room was on the other side. So now we've seen all the areas where passengers can go. Let's see where the crew members could go.
Let's see it.
On the B deck, this hallway is called the keel corridor, which led to a walkway through the entire bottom of the ship.
Wow. That's
Towards the
very
front of the ship
interesting
is
as
the
well.
mail room and the radio room. Right below here is the control car. This is the command center of the ship, which you can see from below. This is the rudder wheel, which helps move the ship to the left or right by controlling the rudders on the very back of the ship.
Okay.
This is the elevator wheel, which controls the pitch of the ship. Ideally, we want the ship as level as possible to keep the passengers comfortable. This is done by the elevators on the very back. The officers' quarters are here, so that they are close to the control car. Along the keel catwalk, you'll find plenty of these fuel and water tanks. Here's the crew quarters, cargo areas, and this is the electrical room. There's more cargo areas here, and a few more down here. And then crew quarters for those that work towards the back of the ship. Along the side of the ship are 4 engine cars with propellers to help move the ship forward. There was always a crew member stationed at each engine car at all times of the journey. This walkway is how the crew could get to the engine car. Along the keel corridor are several shafts with ladders so that crew members could climb up higher. These shafts were also used to ventilate gas. This walkway through the center of the ship is called the axial corridor. These 16 gas cells are what hold the ship up in the air. The cells were originally intended to be filled with helium, but instead were filled with hydrogen. If we look at the periodic table of elements, hydrogen is the lightest element, which means it will provide the most lift. Unfortunately, it's also highly flammable, so the intent with the Hindenburg was to actually use helium, slightly heavier but also much safer. At the time, the United States had the best supply of helium, but would not sell it to other countries, which means that Germany was out of luck.
Wait. Weren't they in, wasn't World War II during, wasn't World War II began in 1935, and the Hindenburg was made in 1936, so couldn't that mean they were at war with each other? It's possible. That's possible they were still at war with each other, but that's the Nazis. That's the Nazis right there. Honestly, why would not the Nazis make the Hindenburg fly around during World War II if it was a most prized possession of them, the peak? Well, I could be wrong as well, but isn't that a bit strange as well? The other two things, has a certain link into history.
No other choice but to use hydrogen. Previous to the Hindenburg, there had been quite a few airship accidents. Other countries had already decided that hydrogen-filled airships were just too dangerous. Germany, however, had a flawless record so far. No passengers had ever been killed in an airship accident. During the year 1936, the Hindenburg had many successful passenger flights to the United States and to Brazil. The year 1937 didn't go so well. May 3rd, the Hindenburg begins its journey from Frankfurt, Germany. It was a 3-day journey to get to Lakehurst, New Jersey.
New Jersey? Oh, that's kidding me. Okay, skip it.
It was a 3-day journey to get to Lakehurst, New Jersey. The ship was only halfway full at this time. Only 97 people were on board. The landing was originally scheduled for the early morning of May 6th, but it was delayed because of strong headwinds, rain, and thunderstorms.
Honestly,
This is the Lakehurst station. It has a hangar to park the airship when it's not flying.
Right?
This is the mooring mast. For a normal landing, the nose of the ship will be attached here while it's on the ground. On the evening of May 6th, there were many people on the ground, including spectators, news reporters, and crew members ready to help bring the ship in. At 7 p.m., the ship made a first pass over the landing site and slowly circled around for the final landing. At this point, the ship was 12 hours late, so there was an urgency to land as there were many passengers waiting to board for the return trip back to Germany. For some reason, the tail of the ship was low, a possible hydrogen leak. At 7:21 p.m., the ship released the handling lines for the ground crew below. 4 minutes later, the ship bursts into flames at the top in between gas cells number 4 and 5.
That's very, off.
It took less than a minute for the ship to be completely destroyed and in ruins on the ground below. Of the 97 people on board, 62 of them
The
survived.
only way how it can blow up like that, it probably is, there's a hole that could also explain why the tail of the ship was low, and it's possible that, but what made the lit? You can't say there was electricity, going around the whole airship, the whole skeleton of the airship. That would be ridiculous. Because the electricity can burn the fabric in the balloon cells. So it had to be something else. I'm not saying that it was like a terrorist attack or whatever, but that's something. It's something. I'm not sure.
Survived the crash. Let's take a look at the explosion again. Right after it happens, the tail begins to fall. The flames travel through the axial corridor and out the nose of the ship. Everyone on board is thrown off their feet with a sudden jolt. Since they're about to land, most passengers are already at the windows, and it's a good thing too. As the ship gets closer to the ground, many were able to jump and run away from the burning ship. Others were not so lucky. No one knows for sure
what kind of people were there on the ship. Probably probably as rich people. What could have been a value for some time, maybe, not sure. But how can those many people survive from a burning airship? Because just remember, it's huge. It's huge. The length of it could have easily touched. Well, it could have catched the flames on the length of the ship. Could have caught some of them, but I'm guessing adrenaline was pumping through their veins, and they ran as fast as they can. That's what I'm probably guessing.
Caused the ship to catch on fire. Unfortunately, most of the evidence was burned up. The likely cause is from static electricity buildup right before the disaster. One small spark is all it would take. The Hindenburg wasn't the worst airship disaster. It was just the first to be caught on film and widely seen by the public. Because of this, airship travel as a means of transportation was brought to an end. Any airships that are still in use today will definitely use helium and not hydrogen.
There's like a museum in some country, could be like France or Germany, somewhere there. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. But before we leave, you know what is crazy about this? The history. This Zeppelin made before World War One. You know what's crazy about it? It looks like a cigar-shaped UFO, like a sausage. Almost like a sausage. You know those sausages which you put on a hot dog? Yeah, those. Doesn't it look like that? Look at it. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed. As always, see you next time.